Here's every book I read in January. So the first book is The Night We Lost Him. I've got the Kindle picture right here. I've been loving this Kindle. I didn't know how I would feel about Kindles. I prefer paper. I prefer to look through it, open books, smell them, and highlight them. But this has worked really great. This is the Kindle Paperwhite. I got it for Christmas, and the charge lasts forever. I have charged it one time, and so the charge holds. I feel like it's going to hold until Jesus comes back. So anyway, this was a fiction book that I read by Laura Dave, is how I hope you say it. She also read The Last Thing He Told Me, and that book has actually been adapted into an Apple TV series, and she's actually doing a sequel to that book. She's going to write another one. She's just a great fiction author. I felt like the twist wasn't as satisfying in this book, but she's so good at writing characters and making their lives really detailed, and honestly, just a fantastic book. I did want to mention this book is one of the books I read. I read about half of it. I put it on my TBR video of what I was going to read for January. I didn't finish it. It had a little too many intimacy scenes for me. It's just not what I'm looking for. I didn't really feel like it added to the story, so I just chose not to continue reading it. And then I read Missional Motherhood by Gloria Furman. So I talked about her in my longer video. I read her book Labor with Hope. That was just gorgeous. She has such a way of writing about life, womanhood, motherhood, but making the Bible the focal point. And I feel like there are just not that many great books for women and for mothers. I feel like they usually withhold deep theological truths, and they just are honestly belittling, and there's not that much information in them, and they're kind of written for one type of woman, and this is definitely not that book. I would even say that even though this book is called Missional Motherhood, it is for every woman. And it wasn't what I expected. She did a recap of the Old Testament for the first part of this book, and it felt a little odd at first, but by the end of it, it was actually just the perfect way to write it. And after I was done reading it, I realized it was exactly what I needed to read. So love this book. I would recommend to anyone. This is definitely the book that I'm going to be bringing to baby showers and be gifting to friends. And then I have been making sure that the most important book and that I read and the time that I give to reading goes to reading the Bible. And I've read the Gospels in this month, and this particular journal, as I've been posting about it, people have been loving it. It's a journal Bible where you can just journal in the margins. And I didn't know if I would like it, and I went back and forth about it, but I ended up getting it for Christmas. And I love it to be able to just write my thoughts right then and there when I read something. And going through the Gospels and reading every single day, I feel like my joy levels, my peace levels go up. I feel like reading the Bible every day reminds me that I'm just not the main character of my life, and I love it. So then the last book that I read was Pilgrim's Progress. I'm going to add a picture of it. I read the updated version because I'm too far on the Gen Z side to read the original. And I can see why this book has been just raved about for so many years. I think it's a 16th century book, and it has been around for a long time, and it's often talked about as a book that every Christian should read. And this book is an allegorical tale about the Christian journey, and it's written in a fiction format, but it's all about just what a Christian's life would look like. And it was very the premise of it was so captivating, and I feel like for the first 2 chapters I was all in, and then after about page 100 I couldn't stick with it. I feel so basic and Gen Z for saying it, but it was boring. it was. So I didn't finish it. But I will say those first few chapters were just really great. It's still a really short read, so I think someone could finish it. It just wasn't for me. So those are the books I read for January. I'm excited about all the books I'm going to read next month, and just excited to be learning things and seeing God from different vantage points, and reading some great fiction that's inspiring, and sharing it all with you guys.